Kinfolk, let us see what it's talking about. Let us see what it's talking about. Pull up a chair. Come over here. Come to the round table. Where we about to break bread right now. You, yes, you. Nobody ever told you this. Tell you ever told you this. Tell yourself that you have purpose. Therefore, everything that happens to you has a purpose. And it happens. There's gonna be times in your life where you're gonna feel like you have no purpose. Similar to pain, right? You're gonna feel pain. It seems like it has no place. And you're gonna cry out for relief. Sometimes I realize that, right? Pain has to get your attention in order for you to heighten your awareness. And the more you heighten your awareness, the more present you are in each moment to the point of fulfillment of the expression that is you in each perceived moment. The more that you remember yourself, you feel me, in a purposeful way, the more that you remember yourself, the more you're able to salvage this experience. Never forget that this experience was meant to be fun, as most experiences are, you know. That's what experience really is meant for. It's meant for enjoyment, you know, enjoyment, not necessarily outward joy, but enjoyment, to the point that each moment is remembered in a way that is purpose filled, purposeful, full of purpose. You recognize why. A lot of times we don't feel like we have a purpose because we can't understand what's going on. We're confused. Good thing is you're admitting that you're confused. You're able to express that you're confused. Now, to go forth and operate, to further dig in from a state of confusion, right, can be to your detriment. Can be to your detriment. It will be to your detriment as you're using your will to further express confusion rather than to include yourself in the journey that is purpose filled, full of purpose, to the point you recognize that all is purposeful. You have purpose. The things that happen to you happened on purpose. Meaning, if you dealing or plagued with understanding time, recognizing it happened right on time. You feel me? It happened right on time. You showed up to hear things, Jasmine, right on time. King, you are purpose filled. You know, oftentimes we feel confused, and as we begin to double down on said confusion, we get to a point that we get to a point that we no longer desire life. We no longer to be present. We begin to try to numb ourselves from the experience. And the further we numb ourselves from the experience, we begin to continue to take on the things that are becoming of numbing ourselves from the experience, meaning withdrawn, you know. As sure as the fact that we able to withdraw ourselves, and it further suits or supports the mood in which we choose to be of, it gives way to a thought process. And therefore, that thought process begins to be um, sustained by way of things that prove to you that that thought process is necessary, that that thought process is true, that it's becoming. Because now here it is, you see it in all that you do, you see it in all that you're going through. But as sure as you're able to do that with your ways of thinking, you can also, I was thinking hard on that, but I'm just gonna say it and let it come out. Reverse engineer that though. Because as I was thinking that, it's like, hold on, we have reversed engineered the natural process by way of us not allowing, what's up with the strawberry? Appreciate that love. Not allowing for ourselves to appreciate this thing called life. Not allowing ourselves to appreciate this thing called life to the point that we have reversed engineered the purpose of living. You know, I used to always hear my big mama talk about giving thanks, give praise. And one of the major ways that we give thanks and give praise for the energy that is life, this experience with energy, um, is to find a purpose in each moment, you know, which a moment is positioned by way of our focus. And the more we become aware, the more heightened our focus becomes to the point that we're having a heightened experience, you know. But notice that when we're having experiences from a place of numbness, aka confusion, aka all the side effects of making decisions from a place of barely being present, you know, it gives way to side effects that sustain our thought process to feel like, you know what, this is right. Because look, I see this. Look, this supports the idea that things aren't working in my favor. This supports the idea that things aren't working in my favor. When truth be told is, what's up with it, Clint? Truth be told is only supporting the data that you're allowing to process here. So if you choose to change the information that you're allowing for yourself to indulge in, all else would be, you know, Big Mama say, put God first and all else will be added. Put the purpose of life first and the reason for it will constantly be added to you as you go, constantly be expressed to you as you go. You feel me? But when you don't put that at the forefront, meaning if you don't put that in your focus, Rosemary, it gets to a point that losing focus gives way to more things that'll help you lose focus, more distractions, more things that are not a part of your purpose. You know, I often hear people write off things that they haven't taken time to experience, you know, things that others have experienced and said that this is becoming of me understanding life to the point that I'm able to overstand my experiences and therefore be better for all that I have experienced. I'm gonna sit y'all down somewhere real quick so I can further express. Put a one in the chat if y'all can still hear me and see me. Put a one in the chat if y'all can still hear me and see me. Appreciate you sharing the live out, fam. Um, and by way of me saying there's things that people refuse to allow themselves to experience, but they swear that there is no purpose to it. There is no measure of anything that's salvageable coming by way of it. Can you hear me good, Clint? Am I coming through? I recognize that there's certain ways that life is expressed, and through the study, the focus of paying attention to these measures, you know what I'm saying? You begin to get to a point that life begins to make sense, and it's not like it's a totality of life making sense. You feel me? As the beautiful thing is, we get the opportunity to, through each experience, you know what I'm saying? We get to get further clarification to the point you begin to see experiences as opportunities. You begin to see experiences as opportunities rather than um things that come to harm you. You know, more or less they come to help you harness the energy. You know, there was a movie that I watched a while back. You know, a shared experience that somebody conveyed through the art of movie making. Right? There's a movie called Four, and the movie was based on a guy who was coming to grips with his energy, coming to grips with what some people would call power. You know what I mean? To the point that as he began to come to grips with his power, his energy, he began to, just be. One time he was just walking down the path, and out of nowhere he did like an aerial, or somewhat started coming off the ground, levitating. You know, for a lot of us, we get off put or thrown off by way of our own energy. Peace to you, family coming in. Um, by way of our own energy, and it's easy for us to write it off as somebody else did something to me. You know what I'm saying? It's easy for us to be like, man, you getting on my nerves. All the while, each being, each experience is you pushed out. A lot of times we can't see ourselves. You feel me? So there has to be an expression around you. You feel me? Like when we get into the depths, the depths of what this experience truly is, some people say it's a hallucination, meaning the things that we perceive to be reality um is what we see. You know what I'm saying? I like to, you know what I'm talking about, not over uh for lack of a better way of saying it, not over exaggerate my understanding, but break it down in such a way that everybody and anybody can understand it. As I was always fashioned to know that intelligence is taking something that is perceived to be complicated, right? And simplifying it in a way that even somebody that's new to this experience of life this time around has a new vessel this time around can understand it. Meaning somebody, even a 3-year-old, could capture what you're saying. You feel me? To the point that, there is nobody left out. It's not, the information isn't lost on anybody who is trying to perceive the conversation. Um, to the point that we may proceed together. You know what I'm saying? As we proceed, you know what I'm saying? So when you think about that, it's very important that mind must be faster than the body. Speed equals control. Discipline equals focus. Muscles not needed. Appreciate you sharing that. Nine ether flash. Um, I wouldn't want to take credit for your download. Even though I do recognize you as me, pushed out, and I you. Um, the illusion, you feel me, of separation sometimes gets us to a point that we lose sight of what some would deem as morality. You know what I'm saying? But when you start to recognize that we're all one and the same, you feel me? Morality kind of no longer has a purpose. You feel me? Hey, butterfly. I don't know if y'all can see this butterfly that keeps circling as well as coming closer. Morality no longer has a normal purpose. You feel me? As morality is often used to signify who we should, if we simplify it, again, um, in context, some context, morality is used to determine who we should not hurt. You know what I'm saying? Who we should be good to and who we shouldn't. You know what I'm saying? It's like rationalizing. And again, I'm reminded as I travel in time through my memories of a time where, we used to hear the ambulance and, pray that it's not somebody that we know, you know what I mean? Rather than ask that whatever is happening purpose, or asking deep on a deeper perspective, asking that I be able to receive what's happening in my purpose. You know what I mean? To the point that when people suffer adversity or what's perceived as adversity, I can recognize through what I experienced, you feel me? Which to some people that was onlooking, it seemed like it was worse than what it was. You feel me? Some people that was watching, you feel me? I know they was like, man, sometimes it's harder to watch than it really is, so to speak. You feel me? If y'all could, if you would, if you feeling led, after I say this, share the live, man, at least 5 times. Just share it. Anytime something hits you that makes sense, share it. Anytime you can identify with the truth that I'm allowing to download and process through me, share it. You know what I'm saying? But I think about how much stuff that we metabolize, right? How much stuff that we metabolize, meaning process, and then it becomes a part of our reality. Um, Feel free to screen record, for later, for sharing purposes. You got my permission. If if that's something you interested in, like, cause honestly speaking, I do this for the sake of um others being able to recognize themselves. You feel me? Others being able to recognize themselves. What's up with my Brody? Um, to the point that we are all better for this experience. And again, I feel like we're all one in the sense of peace to you, essence. Wow. We're all one in the sense of just even in that moment right there, you know what I'm saying? Like essence is an energy that I've been coming in contact with, that I always feel this genuineness that allows for me to appreciate, you know, her presence, her works, as well as her efforts to become more in tune with self. You feel me? Appreciate all 7 of y'all that's in here. You feel me? To the point that the more that I tap in to self, you know what I mean, I'm able to appreciate the many versions of self. And I will that, at some point through these exercises, you guys begin to recognize self in me. If I had to simplify that, I would say, based on our shared experience, even with just this vessel alone, when we get to the point of recognizing that we're all in a realm having shared experiences, not to mention processing, like I said, or metabolizing information through the same organelles, vessels, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're more related than we think. And then when you get to the point of, based on the spirit of a person, meaning the character, the way a person moves throughout life, you feel me? It's how we learn to appreciate or lack appreciation. You know what I'm saying? But when you recognize it's all versions of you or potential of you, it gets to a point that you see yourself in others. and it takes away the judgment being towards others, but always being a judgment call for yourself. Um, and to me, that's true accountability. Um, Taking into account. You feel me? Each life is a testimony. You feel me? As we're all being tested in a way. You know what I'm saying? Like each moment of our experience, we have an opportunity to express ourselves or um focus our awareness to the point of appreciation of this experience. A lot of times, we get so caught up in thinking that we have this great power to act upon things, and it's your to the point you start blaming yourself for what happens rather than learning to appreciate what's happening. You feel me? Um, Give me a second. Let me make sure we got a signal. Cause it look like okay, I'm making sure we good. But rather than allowing for yourself to appreciate what's happening, you know, again, make sure it's not falling on deaf ears. Appreciation. A lot of people are so fascinated by material things, things outside of themselves that they tend to eventually value more than themselves, right? How you doing, Lacey? Um, am I saying that right? Let me make sure. All right. When you get a car, right? When you first drive it off the lot, appreciate you, Clint. Welcoming everybody. What's up with it, Reese? Um, it loses value, meaning it depreciates. You feel me? Um, so this is after you take it away from the lot. You feel me? Once it loses connection from where it was purposed at, the car lot. You feel me? It begins to depreciate. So once we lose connection with each other, with life, we start to separate in our thought process, and we start to depreciate ourselves first and then others secondly. We may self-soothe or pacify ourselves by saying, certain things about other people in order to make ourselves feel like we appreciate ourselves, you feel me? But it's darn near impossible for you to disrespect or tear somebody down, right? Um, in ways that aren't becoming, you feel me? Without having that taking place within yourself, at least the uncomfortability. Um, there's times that I speak to my brothers, right? And we have conversations about, becoming more in tune with self. And there may be a brother that is feeling like he's validated, right? He's validated by his material items or his money. You know what I'm saying? To the point that I might tear down the materialism. You feel me? To the point that I'm like, bruh, just because you got money don't make you real. He will feel like I'm tearing him down because he put his energy into getting. But I don't mean him no harm. I mean, hey, bruh, show me you. You know what I'm saying? Recognize that you're you even without that. So if it takes for me to appreciate that in your face to the point that you recognize you have nothing left but yourself, and that's the greatest thing you could ever have because without knowledge of self, without the existence of self, you have none of this anyway. So to keep a person on purpose is very, very vital, meaning to keep another version of yourself on purpose. Because even if I don't acknowledge, what's up, butterfly? I mean, that butterfly came so close, y'all could have, man. But anyway, um, to keep a person on task for purpose is our duty. You know what I mean? Um, and honestly, if I don't recognize or call that out, you know what I'm saying? I am allowing for self, the being that's experiencing this to eventually have another experience, right? In which I focus my awareness on. what I didn't devalue in that moment. Not to say that I won't have these things, but it will have to be in its purpose. Otherwise, I'm valuing it more than myself. Now, again, a lot of these things that we haven't interfaced with, right? That we write off. Um, I've had interface with a lot of the things that I say, look, brother, that ain't better than you, and it don't give you room to tear down others because you do have it. Appreciate you sharing a lot. Um, but what I mean by the things that we write off, without fulfilling or experiencing its purpose, like, I've come to understand that this experience, this energy, that we call life, or this realm, um, is expressed in many ways. It's expressed, um, or it's made up of numbers that express the vibratory rate or the vibrations, sorting the vibes. And to further understand those things, you could pay attention to, like, what's up with the divine? You could pay attention to, like, or the study of those things is like astrology, um, the study of the elements by way of people acknowledging crystals, interfacing with them, putting them in their aura field, to remind them of the things that are within them, um, things that are within us that are studied in like astrology or different things of that sort is, like, to best put it, I remember having a reading and people telling me that I would hurt or injure something on the left side of my body, or I would have an injury on the left side of my body, and at the time I hadn't had it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, I don't know how true that is because I ain't heard nothing on the left side of my body, nor do I plan on it at the time. You feel me? But it didn't change the fact that later I would have that experience. And once I had that said experience, it was no different than how a grandmother may prepare her child, by way of the things that she tells that child. Appreciate you sharing the live. What's that say? Naya. Appreciate you sharing the live. She prepares that child by way of telling them things that they may not readily have had experiences with or comprehend at the moment. But in preparation, she tells that child, reset, how you doing? So then when that experience comes, you're not off put or you're not caught off guard. It's almost like a program that comes online once you start to have that experience, like you know what to do in that moment. You feel me? Um, if at any moment any of this information registers with you guys, whether it's something that you like, I never thought about it like that, or I thought about that, but I never heard other people talk about it, so I felt like I was tripping. Share it live. At that moment, we're identifying with each other. The more that we learn to identify with the other versions of ourselves that have had to be pushed out, and the other experiences that are ourselves that had to be pushed out for us to begin to recognize and remember who we are, the better off we'll be. You know what I'm saying? So I would encourage you not to quench your spirit, um, to interact with that, from interacting with the opportunity to share. I feel like we are love, right? Um, we are love, right? So the more that we can identify with the versions of ourselves, more we're gonna identify with ourselves, we are identifying with love. I would rather have experiences with a person from the level. Ooh, that's the answer I've been looking for, or searching to remember. I would rather have an experience with a being with life from the recognition, from the recognition. Wow, wow, sir. I got snatched up. Got snatched up. Um, yeah, we was at a point of learning to identify with each other. You know what I'm saying? The more we learn to identify or connect the dots that we are one and the same, the more in tune we become with life. You know what I'm saying? I remember playing a game as a kid, um, where the closer you got to the point, or the closer you got to what we was looking for, we would say, you're heating up or you're warm. You know what I'm saying? So I guess I was hot on the point because all of a sudden my phone read that it was too hot for us to continue and stopped me from, you know, broadcasting for a second. But if you could put a one in the chat, you know what I'm saying? So I know who are still here. But again, recognize your purpose in life. Appreciate yourself. Um, to me, that is the point of it all. You feel me? That is the point of it all. And be grateful, man. Most of all, be grateful to be able to have these moments of awareness because this is an experience. You feel me? This is an experience. And through you recognizing the greatness of this experience will determine what you express. You feel me? Will determine what you express. I definitely won't appreciate you. Appreciate you saying that. I definitely won't change my thoughts. Man, I appreciate y'all rocking out though. You feel me? Um, usually when that happens, boy, it's over with. You know what I'm saying? But I appreciate those versions of myself that were able to withstand the distraction. Or again, let's not even play like that. It's not even a distraction. It was a purposeful moment. You know what I'm saying? It might have been a chance for us to download or allow for what we was receiving from each other to process in such a way that we'll be better for it. So I'm gonna be grateful and give thanks for that moment of clarity, that moment of pause, which to me is best that we take those moments. You know, even like as you hear me talking, I do uh or I just pause in general. You feel me? These are things that allow for you to move in purpose. You know, I never forget Jamie Foxx having an interview right when he was doing the Ray Charles movie. Right, right, right. That's what I'm talking about. Do the time, don't let the time do you. Train the system, don't let it train you. Um, I'm not sure who that is. Um, he was having an interview and they was asking him something that he remembers about his time with Ray Charles, and he was saying how he began to just like hit the keys all fast, just trying to help him warm up or whatever. And Ray just like, hold on, stop. What are you doing? He was like, I'm trying to find the key. He was like, the beauty of life, I'm paraphrasing, is taking the time to hit the right note. You know what I mean? So be grateful for the moments that we have that pause us long enough to take the time to hit the right note. Man, appreciate you for that. Love my love. Take the time to hit the right note. You know, again, the more you focus on certain things in this experience, the more you notice certain things of this experience. And the more you notice certain things in this experience, it allows for you to appreciate life from that aspect. Um, so again, even if you recognize through having this conversation that you might have been more negative than you would like, you know what I'm saying? You might begin to recognize that even the moments that you don't appreciate came by way of your lack of appreciation for experience. You know, best way I could break that one down is there are really no bad children, you know what I'm saying? It's just a bad signal being transmitted in the time that the adult is passing that judgment. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, kids do things, or people in general do things outside of how we expected them to move, and therefore we reason that it was good or bad. So in essence, life happens outside of how we reasoned it would be best to move. Best thing you can do, the best thing I'm learning to do is to you feel me, is to let go of how I perceive the scene playing out. You feel me? Like, how we got the setting played out, we got the look of our woman, the look of how everything is gonna be, to the point when it don't happen that way, we can't appreciate it. So let go of how the scene would be set. Let go of um when, you know what I'm saying? And just learn to appreciate flow and allow for yourself to be a part of the flow. You feel me? Learn to know when you in flow state. That's crazy. That was another answer I was looking for. Um, like why I appreciate certain feelings, because they remind me of being in flow state. They remind me that I am in flow state, so to speak. You feel me? Um, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that opportunity in life to be able to be one with the flow, or to recognize that I'm one with the flow, because I'm already one with the flow in general. But oftentimes I can't appreciate what you're doing, my G. Um, Oftentimes I can't appreciate it because, for whatever reason, I'm putting my focus somewhere else, to the point I don't notice the importance of what's being allowed to operate through me. Um, so I'm beginning to see that it would behoove me and be in my best interest to operate from those viewpoints. Um, I love being out in the good old, I'm talking about raw light. Um, as the sun roars into the day. So with it, cherry, boom. Um, but yeah, man, like, you have purpose. Remember that, and everything that you're experiencing is you, and it's a part of your purpose. Um, Even if you still operating from a space of, and that's something else that I'm noticing I'm transcending, or learning to transmute. A lot of us still operating from a standpoint of pain versus euphoria, or relief, right? Instead, I'm recognizing purpose. Pain having a purpose, and the understanding of said pain being the relief. You feel me? Once you begin to recognize that certain things are being rigged from the body, and there's levels to each one of them, right? You develop a certain level of relief, right? The purpose is to remember, because that's how we salvage. We salvage ourselves, and we salvage the moment. Um, in each moment, you are experienced. I mean, think about it. People base you, or base their understanding of you based on their experience with you. Now, how you view each experience is going to say something about you, right? Because you're going to project that throughout life. You feel me? If you feel like you've had a collective of experiences that make you have a disdain for life, you're going to go throughout life giving off an air as though life it ain't even worth living, and you gonna give other people that same energy as though it ain't worth talking to them. It ain't, you going through life with that. It ain't worth it. It ain't this. It ain't that. Rather than recognizing life is great, and it's something to be grateful for. All aspects of it. There's so much more for us to experience in life. So each time we wake up, or each time we have an experience that we're awakened by. You know what I'm saying? Like the obvious is we wake up to the day. You know what I'm saying? From sleep, but there's levels to everything. Each thing that we experience is an awakening. Is an awakening. Appreciate the love. So be grateful for your awakenings and start to acknowledge them. You'll be better for it. You'll be so much better for the acknowledgement of the awakening. You know, even if it's being awakened to the fact that a version of yourself um isn't in your best interest. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times you begin to recognize that it's not in your best interest to look to things or others to soothe. Yeah, to soothe. We just leave it there. It's not in your best interest. You know what I'm saying? But it's therefore a reminder at times to the possibilities of how good you could feel. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, you are love. So the expression of you're not complaints. The expression of you would be gratitude and or love. You feel me? Exactly. Exactly. Pain led her to the person that she's truly inside. You feel me? Um, some people have such painful memories with pure genuine intentions, right? Some people have so many painful memories of interfacing with people, and it's purely based on how they see themselves pushed out on everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Pushed out on everybody else. And once you start to recognize that, even when you notice that other versions of yourself is doing that to you, it's hard to take that to heart in a negative way. If anything, you take it to heart as though, you know what, I'm not going to further add insult to injury. Meaning, I'm not going to insult this person in that moment when they're obviously experiencing, static in their signal. You know, we always come back to this, man. Look, if you're full of toxins, you feel me? It's hard to not be toxic. Don't get me wrong, even a broken clock is right twice a day. So, you know, yeah, you've been able to transmute and mind over matter that situation, but if you want to help yourself um, experience things in totality, you feel me? You're full of toxins. It's hard not to be toxic. Yes, you've been able to be good to people more than not, but in order to help, meaning in order to enlist your angels, in order to uh, support the greatness that is you, it'll be better suited that you indulge in conversations that are better for you, um, indulge in foods that are better for you. And look, don't be so hard on yourself when you have mistakes. You feel me? You missed it that time, but you gonna get another chance the next time. You feel me? And one thing I've learned to help me ease with that is learning to position how I feel, how I metabolize the changes in my vessel. I'm not the vessel. You feel me? I'm not the vessel. But through me feeling I experience, through me recognizing the stimuli that's happening with this vessel, outward as well as me pushing my energy through it, right? I'm able to recognize certain things. And one thing I pinpoint is, when we think that our stomach is growling because it's hungry, it's actually like listening to a vacuum. You know what I'm saying? Getting rid of something or picking up something. What's up with a mirror, mirror to the point that Imagine if every time you vacuum or remove something, you feel me, or push something out, clean something, somebody keeps putting things in the way. Appreciate that love. It would feel like at a certain point you working for nothing. And then we wonder why every year our body begins to shut down certain things, certain faculties. And as you begin to recognize what each one of these organs do, each one of these parts of our body, what they do, it gets to a point you like, dang, so now my body don't naturally do this no more. But for a lack of us knowing, you know what I'm saying, to the point that we could even appreciate those parts of the body, you feel me? It just, it's one of them things like, you don't use it, you will lose it. You don't use your ability to become aware, seek understanding, you will lose it. That's why you have certain people that have so-called went around the sun a certain amount of time, went through cycles of life a certain amount of times, and they're just aging. You feel me? And what I mean by aging, they're depreciating. They're not gaining in value from their experiences. They're not able to retrieve information based on their experiences that going forward they better for it. So it's a good thing to be able to like, and don't believe me. Look into what happens when I hear my stomach growling. The more you look at the information and you see it, there's changes that take place. No different than your first time seeing a car that you may desire. You feel me? You begin to notice all the versions of that car on the road. You feel me? You begin to notice the company that makes that car, even if it's not the same model that you're looking for. You begin to know that all the company cars like that on the road. Same thing with this information. The more you begin to indulge in information, that will, excuse my vessel, that will better support you. Support your existence to continue in this great experience. We call it the energy, um, metabolization of life. Um, the better off you will be for it. You know what I'm saying? The better focus, the better awareness you will have for it, to the point that it becomes euphoric. Um, Begin to appreciate it on so many levels. Think about it. The less awareness, or when you begin to lose feeling, you know, we recognize it when you're on the brink of not. Right, right, for sure. You recognize it when you're on the brink of not, right, being in this vessel anymore. Like when you about to be on the brink of not being in this vessel no more, we recognize how important it is to have sensitivity. So, why not measure what you indulge in on all levels, what you put in your body, what you surround yourself with, what you concern yourself with, um, based on how it would heighten your sensitivity, heighten your awareness. When you find yourself focusing on things that are becoming, right, you'll recognize that what you become isn't a version of yourself that you wasn't to begin with, but it was a version of yourself that's being like piled on. You know what I'm saying? Like you jumping your own self, like you feel me? You beating up yourself with the things that you're indulging in. And I'm talking to me. You know what I'm saying? Again, if you identify with any of this, if any of this hits home, if any of this is something that you were thinking but haven't metabolized in the words, share this out. Because the more you connect with the versions of yourself pushed out in the form of other beings, the more you connect with the version of yourself that has the ability to experience this life by way of the actions that it takes, that we spirit through this vessel, or we spear through this vessel, it adds to your life or it takes away. There is no, you know what I'm saying? There is no Uh, it's levels to this. It's not necessarily no middle ground. You feel me? Even that middle ground is like, a percentage of this way, a percentage of that way. You feel me? So, Big Mom used to always say we got away from the way. I used to hear my old heads, my OGs, the old men say, man, I'm staying out the way. I feel like we're an answer to a prayer. We're an answer to a thought that was meditated on. We are walking in the way. The things that they fathomed, we're able to live by way of the work that they did by even concerning themselves with that. You know what I'm saying? They say your child is born at the conscious level, you feel me? Born at the conscious level that you're at, or the vibratory rate that you're operating at when you conceive them, as well as what you surround them with while they're being cultivated. So when our parents said they wanted us to be better than them, like there was no way around it, honestly. You know what I'm saying? If anything, we would have had to work extra hard to avoid it. And really, all we doing is just, postponing the truth. A lie don't, you know what I'm saying, don't change what it is. It only postpones it. Or, you know what I'm saying, it relieves you from it. Think about that. We look at pain, right? As though it's a lie, something to avoid, right? When the whole time it's the truth. The things that we may be considering pain is really the relief. Have you ever been in so much pain that you couldn't feel it? I've been there to the point. That's why I'm like, hold on, hold up. If you living in reverse, or if you experiencing life in reverse, are you really living? So pain is what we perceive as feeling, heightened feeling. And when we don't feel pain, it's like I don't feel nothing. So think about that in reverse. Cause I remember, hearing, after like sitting back listening, because sometimes you just got to listen to the versions of yourself. Say the things that you say and do the things that you do to the point it's like, bro, we complain about living. Meaning we complain about the things that are to substantiate the fact that we're alive, the things that we will feel. We complain about feeling. And when we lose feeling, hmm, and even with that, the good news is, you know what I'm talking about? It's life after life. And the things that, we didn't learn to appreciate here, or the things that, what I'm saying, we don't readily appreciate here, will be no more. What's up with the Emily League? Will be no more. You know what I'm talking about? Um, we'll be one with the things that cause us to remember in this vessel what this experience really is, the things that so-called pain us, right? Um, the way that our vessel interfaces, it's almost like a tug of war, right? Our vessel is comprised of the physical matter that becomes this plane in which we walk on, this ground, and this earth in which we walk on, right? Our spirit is comprised of the energy that is sourced from the soul. Like a sole proprietor is the connection to all. So here it is, us being in that duality. It's like a tug of war taking place, and some of us only focus on the physical. All the while, when the spiritual is interacting with the physical, we're complaining. Or when the physical is being affected by its experience with mother, we're complaining. When we can see that in relationships with human beings, we say, man, you know, you got issues, you got mother issues, or you got daddy issues. Mm. We got mama issues, mother earth issues. When we complaining about what's going on with their vessel, you feel me? And when we allow for that to seep into our spirit to the point that it's coming off us, we got a whole atmosphere of this thing. You feel me? Appreciate the love to the point that people don't even want to be around you. Don't get me wrong, some people not gonna want to be around you because the vibratory rate in which you're interfacing with life, you know, reminds them that they're downsizing themselves. Or not even people. Some versions of yourself, you know what I'm saying, ain't gonna want to be around you when you rising. You feel me? Cause it's like, darn, hold on. Kind of like the sun, like, man, you up there, I can't even. At least you make it hard to see. You ever been around somebody so tall you can't see their face, and the look up hurt your neck? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Uh, remember that this life was meant to be fun, man. It was meant to be fun. It was meant to be an enjoyable experience. So when you find yourself not enjoying it, seek the purpose. And through finding purpose, you'll be just like a child again, you know, elated by what you learned. Remember a time when you was learning different things and it's just like, man, I can't wait to go back and learn some more. Tap back into that. Tap back into that. Then you will see how much you have purpose to the point that every version of yourself that's pushed out but for us to call our experience, you will see it's purposeful, it's purpose filled. My day is filled with purpose. And then you'll really see that I attract, I don't chase. You attracted all of this. So when you sit there and be like, man, dang, you beautiful. It's because you're able to recognize beauty within yourself, even if you can't consciously express it for yourself through interacting with others at that rate. At some point, you keep on. My big money say you play church long enough, you're gonna start having it. And so with the kiki to the point that you know the more that you can appreciate other versions of yourself, it ain't no way. Like what? Like so, keep on. You know what I'm saying? Keep on keeping on. Appreciate you being up in here, love. Keep on keeping on in that way, cause you will be better for it. And everything that you're doing, everything that you're going through, this is not a conversation to say that you're wrong. Mm-mm, this ain't that. This ain't that. I'm just talking to myself about the purpose of everything that's going on. And I appreciate you, self, for showing up. And as things begin to make sense to you, you share it. Thank you for all that you shared. Thank you for all that you've been through up until now, making all of this make sense to you. You feel me? They say all is mental. Hmm. All this was meant. If you reverse that, mental, all meant. It all meant something. Say I'm playing with words, whatever. Again, this life was meant to be enjoyed. It was meant to be enjoyed. So find the enjoyment in it. And the easiest way to find enjoyment is to go in. First part of that is in. I know it's spelled different, E-N, but the vibration is the same when you say it. We like to vibe with each other, you feel me? We catch a vibe, right? So what you feeling? No matter who you around, no matter what you around, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't got it in here, ain't nothing out here gonna, no matter how you pacify yourself as to say you appreciate other things or other versions, other experiences with self, because based on how you experience things, it say something about you. Beauty is truly in the eye of the beholder. Things come into your eye range upside down, and you have to flip it in your mind. That's scientifically proven. Come on, in is all right. You feel me? So in the original, because you know the English, so-called English language, derived or was made from other languages. The way that you perceive life, the way that you are, the rate that you're experiencing life started before you. But the beauty is you have the ability. You have the ability, what? To experience it at a rate that nobody can take away from you. So no matter what your situation may be, no matter what your physical may be, nobody has the final say but you, baby. So when it comes to nobody's coming to save you, you must save yourself and save yourself the time of the side effects of complaining about existence. Instead, recognize the purpose for it all. Because when you're complaining, it comes from a place of confusion. I don't understand why. And to make a decision about something so precious, something so important, something so purposeful as you, based on what you don't yet remember, is to make a decision off balance. Is to make a decision without full clarity, without all the information that's needed to even make a decision. Soon, very soon, all of these, these talks, right? My big mom would say it's gonna all make sense. You feel me? As well as there would be more shared with you guys, you know what I'm saying, about my experiences. Um, how do they say it in the movies? The names have been changed, as well as the places have been changed to protect the innocent. You see what I'm saying? So there's certain things that, in order to protect the innocence of those who have been chosen to play certain roles, I'm learning to not express it before it's time, and to position it in a way that it wouldn't stunt the growth of other versions of myself or the remembrance. Slow that down, bring that back before you think I dissed you. Remember, if I was broken down, torn apart, somebody came along to remember, I mean, I would, you know what I'm saying? That would be a much appreciated. That would be a act of love and honor. So remember yourself. Put yourself back together, baby. Put yourself back together. I know, man. You might be crying on the floor right now. Or might have just was today, last week, last month. Couldn't figure out how you was just gonna go on with everything that you had built up being gone. That person, that house, that job, that child. But you have purpose. Slow that down. Bring that back. Purpose. Mm. Each position you find yourself in, purpose, it's an opportunity to carry a certain energy. No matter what's going on, it's an opportunity to carry a certain energy. When somebody can have a beautiful spirit in the middle of chaos, ooh, it say something. And I propose that you feel me, allow for yourself to say something that words can possibly even express, honestly. Silence can be so loud. And if your silence in disdain is loud, imagine your silence in, ooh, really? And don't get mad when, each file gets, filed away. You know what I'm saying? When people begin to try to do foul things to you, file them where they go. Or when versions of yourself begin to act in certain ways, file it where it goes. You are the director of this movie, so whatever you put the most focus on becomes the biggest scene. And what has the most scenes becomes the moral of the story. So it's imperative not even to give it that much light for real, for real. If it's something that you feel like doesn't suit you, or you feel like isn't, you know what I'm saying, isn't what you want for real, use mental jujitsu. Take all that weight that's being put on you, and before you hit the ground, flip that situation. Flip it. Flip it. Flip it in a way that's going to allow for you to come out on top. Take the things that you was able to overcome that would have caused shame at one point. Let it cause you to exclaim that, hey, I'm better for it than I would have been not going through it. I'm better for it than I was going back. You feel me? So I'm glad I was able to experience that. I'm glad that person showed their ass, Panther. You feel me? I'm glad. I'm glad that version of me showed their ass. I'm glad that life showed me. What's up with it, Gaia? I'm glad that life showed me that when I busted my head, it wasn't meant for me to go in that moment. Y'all ever heard of people that experience extreme trauma having awakenings? I often watch like near death experiences, and these people talk about what they learned, what they saw, and then they come back with a profoundness of life. You have a purpose, especially in the moments that get your attention, which a lot of times what gets our attention the most, guy, uncomfortable feelings to the point that I'm starting to register that it's not even like I gotta change how I even file these things away. I can't even say pain is the issue. I've already changed how I feel about it, right? But I slick wanna I know it's coming, but I have to find another word for it. I have to find another word for it. A moment of clarity, an attention getter. You got to put me up on what that mean. Um, right. Cause think about it. They say when by the time you got a cold or something of that nature, right? Your body has already ridden itself of whatever the perceived issue is, right? It's already getting rid of it. So you're already healing. And sometimes we take things to slow down the healing process, which is, you know what I'm saying? It's understandable based on what we've been taught. It's understandable. But we would be better suited once we recognize that to stop, you know, slowing down the healing process. Instead, in those moments, give thanks. If, the way that I think led to certain uncomfortable situations, it'd be best that I recognize that for one, the purpose of my thoughts has been reverse engineered to the point that I'm creating these moments that I so called don't like. At the same time, recognizing that that's even a superpower to an extent, to the point it allows for me to notice. Um, it allows for me to notice in a way that gives me power over the situation. Gives me power over the situation. So if a person having depressive thoughts can lead to um, discomfort in the body or dis-ease, imagine what grateful thoughts would do. You feel me? Imagine what that would do. You're saying that can create a physical place within the body as well as lead to the places that you decide to go from there on out. And then leads to what your life becomes. Hmm. Imagine changing the viewpoint of how you see life in general. What that would lead to. I mean, you spent a lot of time with that other, you know what I'm saying, standpoint to the point it became your life when you really think about it. You want to spend some time with this one too. Recognize the ways of change. So maybe that discomfort or that so-called perceived pain that you're experiencing is merely a marking point to let you know when life is changing. It's a marking point to let you know that change is happening. It's like, hold on, let me get your attention. Let me prepare you for what's to come. You know, your desires, you know what I'm saying, prepare you oftentimes to be in tune with your purpose. So do uncomfortable situations. I have a um, opportunity to interface with a young being, you know, that has experienced a lot of discomfort in his physical vessel to the point I remember telling him, "Hey, when you get older, you're gonna be a healer, bro. That's why you're going through what you're going through, because you're gonna figure out how to deal with your situation, how to heal from your situation, right? And in turn, others will be better for what you figured out." I heard it said by one of the greatest recognized minds that I'm not the smartest, but I'm the one who spends the longest with a problem. You feel me? Even heard it said by another considered great mind. Um, I didn't what do you say? I didn't just stumble up on the solution, but I found thousands of ways how not to do it first. So don't be so hard on yourself when you recognize certain things are not working anymore. Certain things don't serve a purpose for you anymore. You have purpose in all that you do. Great things are coming to you, and great things are happening through you. That being said, Finley, I love you as myself, and it really ain't nothing you can do about it. And I know you a part of me, so I never mean you no harm, as I don't mean myself, man. I don't want to go through nothing, but I recognize why I go through it though, and I'm grateful that we're having this experience with one another. The sooner we recognize that we're not separate, better off we'll be. That being said, I love you, family. Kinfolk, now that we see what it's talking about, now that we see what it was talking about, the experiences of life, because we came over here to the round table where we just broke it all down. Say what? We just broke bread right now. Peace within. So you know that it's peace that we giving out. And I know you about to have another lovely day. Cause look how we started it out. Anybody who want the playback, make sure you inbox me. I'll send it to you um when I post it on YouTube. But feel free um to check out the other content that we have. The YouTube is Gold, like the mineral, or is it the element? However, Gold Mind Tree Tribe. That's one word. Gold Mind Tree Tribe space TV. Check us out on YouTube. That's where we usually repost everything. Uh, but yeah, I appreciate y'all, man. Peace.